All right. Freehands Friday, number 74, is coming at you. Coming at you. Today is what? Friday, April 22nd. I'm joined by Rob and Kevin, and today we are talking about the TAGG interface. Woohoo! So, yay! So, there's like so much to talk about. Like GEPH has an album out, so like we should talk about that as well. We were rolling out Freehands Academy registration on Monday the 25th, which is super exciting. I've got some tentative commitments from instructors. And so, like, who will be there? We're still figuring it out, but there'll be at least 5 instructors as usual, and it'll be super cool. And Emma will be there, and we'll have a good time. So, Kevin, how you been, man?
Good, man. Chillaxing, loving the weather up here. Snow is gone. I fertilized my lawn yesterday, put some seed on it, and things are good. Normally, we still have snow at this time, so it's been awesome.
Warming up. And remind me, where are you?
I'm in Trenton. I'm in Brantford, Ontario, which is it's about 100 kilometers west of Toronto.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, just above Lake Erie.
So probably too little far from from Jim's Vancouver event, which is coming up next month.
Well, if I can travel pretty much for free, but I'm kind of lazy and like to be a homebody, so yeah. Yeah.
So a quick note on that. Jim Meyer is going to be joined by Don Schiff. They're doing the 17th Vancouver Stick Seminar, which is going to be just outrageous and super. Don's a great guy and Jim's a great guy. And that'll be like 3 days. I'm pretty sure they're doing it as a retreat. So it's a little more low key. I think it's in I don't know if it's in a private residence. But like always, as usual, like glowing reviews about the Vancouver event. And so 17 years going and like another year on tap. So that would be cool.
17 years, eh? Holy crap.
Yeah, and I think Nathan Aswell is the guy that actually started it. So Nathan,
okay.
Yeah, he handed it off to Jim. He's like, here you go. And so I'll have to hit him up about that. Like do like a little history on like the Vancouver event because, you know, it's like the perfect time of year, like you said. Things are starting to warm up there, and lots of great stick players up in Canada. So,
have you ever been up to Vancouver?
I have been to Toronto.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Horseshoe up there like 2 times when I was up there traveling with the Inclined. I played Le Foufou Electronique out in Quebec.
Oh, wow.
And what else? I've been to the Capitol, and we played Zaphod Beeple Boxes.
Oh, Zaphod's, I've played there before.
Yeah, and it was just breathtakingly beautiful. Just like,
holy crap, man.
Yeah, it was cool. So like that was that back in the day. But I haven't been to the western part of the country. I'd love to go to Vancouver, Ontario. So
it's really nice. It's really nice out in the van for sure. Really, it's beautiful. And it's always warm out there too.
Yeah. Hey, so representing the southern part of the Americas here, Rob is joining us.
Hey.
Rob, how you been, man?
I'm good.
Now,
I'm busy.
Where are you, and what's the weather like?
I'm in Quintero, Chile. It's about an hour from Valparaiso. It's a cloudy day, kind of cold, and we had a lot of rain last week.
Okay. But things are warming up.
Yeah, well, things are cooling down. The winter's starting up.
Oh, okay. Okay, interesting. So we have a cool little like cross section of the Americas here. This is great. Like what a cool, like we didn't plan it this way, but that's the way it is, right?
Yeah.
It's really Pan-American, right? I love that too. Cool. So Rob, I think now is this your first time on Freehands Friday, or have you been on before with us? You've joined us before, right?
Second time.
Okay. I seem to recall.
Yeah. I joined the one with Andy.
Gotcha.
Oh, yeah, I remember you now, man. I remember you.
That's right. Well, cool. So, I'm glad that we're all caught up here, and we can get on topic. What we're here to talk about, or at least to share with everyone in Tap Nation, is this, which is the TAGG interface. And so, Actually, this is one that John made for me about 5 or 6 years ago, and I don't even know what type of wood it is. It doesn't have, I don't think it has any sort of type of finish on it, but this is what we're referring to as like a TAGG version 1. So it's got two, so the idea is simple. It mounts onto a cymbal stand, right? And I'll show that and demonstrate that in a minute. And then you use this butterfly screw to affix it. Right, and then it's pretty much in a fixed position, right? You adjust the cymbal stand to whichever degree or height you want, and then there's these two sleeves right here. There's this lower sleeve and then this upper sleeve that accommodate the Chapman stick belt hook, and so it clips in there very nicely. Now it fits the original fixed position belt hooks that are more like kind of that were immediately issued after the metal belt hooks in the 80s and the 90s, and then as well as the 4-position belt hooks that then became more popular, where you can adjust the height of the belt hook. So this one got pretty scraped up pretty much early on as soon as I got it, and the weight, I mean, like what, like a pound maybe? How much would you say this weighs, Kevin, in like metric?
Oh, metric. Oh man, you're killing me.
Well, or just here's the thing: is that I make all these references, and they're all in kind of pounds and weight.
I'd say a half a kilo.
Half a kilo. Okay, so
Yeah.
so like when people make comments on like my videos, they're like, "How about something in metric, so we know what you're talking about, like the rest of the world?" And so I'm trying to big American and just like only give pounds and inches and that sort of thing. So here it is, right? It weighs about that much, right? So and John is just a super cool guy. He's based out of Las Vegas, and he's a luthier. He lived in Oregon for a long time, and I spoke to him literally like about 15 minutes ago. I was kind of hoping he could join us, but he's busy. So John is so a little bit about John Taggart. John Taggart I've known for about 6 years and was connected through him through Matt. And I can't remember Matt's name, but Matt's occasionally active out on the Stickist, and Matt was one of the Stickists in Heartstrings. And so I saw some of the videos, and I thought, man, like, wouldn't it be cool to have one of those stands? And I thought, well, it's kind of a crapshoot. I'll just give him a call. And Matt wrote back, and he's like, here, contact this guy. And so I did contact John. John seemed like a nice guy. I sent him a check. He sent me a TAGG interface, and like the rest is history. I mean, everyone uses them differently, and I was very pleased with mine. It's definitely got some use on it, but the thing is that it doesn't really matter because it gets the job done in such a big way. So it's got this very unique kind of shape to it, and so Kevin, actually, so what I should probably do is you've kind of heard. Let me think. Is there anything else about John you should know? So John. John is also, he does tech work, so he provides the tech work for all the guys, I think McVie as well as Buckingham in Fleetwood Mac.
Wow, what a good gig.
Yeah, and he's for real. I mean, he was out there with them for like 2 years. I mean, like I didn't see him. He wasn't able to make interfaces for the longest time because he was traveling. And he spent a lot of time kind of sitting around, but he wasn't in his shop making interfaces. So more recently, I'm off the road with Fleetwood Mac, and he's like changing strings, intonating guitars, like managing pedals, amps, like everything that's going on stage with those guys. And I think they have another guitarist that travels with them. I can't remember who it is, but right, he's the guy. So and he also makes his own guitars. He's a very talented luthier. And like he's like based out in like the Las Vegas area, so a little bit about John, and just super friendly, like loving, friendly person that like when I got my TAGG interface, I was over at my mom's house, and he came by because he was in town with Fleetwood Mac, and like he got to meet my mom, and like hang out, and it's like it's like it could be like so weird, right? And he was super cool, he came. My mom's like like wants him to stay for lunch and stuff like that, and he's I got to get back, like Christy McPhee's freaking out about something, we got it.
Hey man, I have a question for you. Why did he get involved with this thing? Is he a stick player? Because it seems like an odd duck.
Totally.
Like, what's that story?
So here's a little backstory, and I got this like literally like 15, 20 minutes ago. I called him. I'm like, hey man, we're gonna do the session. who are you and what do you do? You know, and so he said, here are my notes. Okay, so the first guy to request a TAGG interface was Ryan Boslow. And I guess Ryan has done events with Greg. I'm not quite even sure where he was, but they were at a barbecue in a backyard. And this guy's like, hey man, like it'd be so cool if I had something to put my stick on. And John's like, oh cool man, what can we do about that? And and the TAGG was born.
Okay.
He made him this interface, and he loved it, right? And then some other guys heard about it, and they got it kind of word of mouth through him, and it was all kind of word of mouth. And then at some point, he made so Ryan got one. Now and then there was a guy who he referred to as JF, which is John Francois. And John Francois back in like the 90s, so it would have been about 1995. So then John Francois, who played with Cirque du Soleil, wanted one, right? So he's like, make me one of these, and so, or it was like, make me one of these, huh? And so he, with a name like Francois, I'm being presumptuous.
You're probably right.
In fact, what it sounded like. So, and John's like a major, like serious player. So he was doing the Cirque du Soleil stuff, and he wanted a stand, so they made him a stand. And John, John is the guy. John Francois is the guy that did stuff with Greg and did some seminars, and so he's kind of a big deal. He's not really. I don't see him a lot in the community, or maybe I do, and I just don't recognize the name. But we owe him, as well as Ryan Boslow, kind of a tip of the hat if we do need him, because that was the initial ask came from them. So after that, let's see here. Then this guy Matt from Heartstrings was one of the guys that probably saw John or Ryan with one, probably more likely John Francois. And Matt wanted one of these, and actually Matt ordered a couple of them. So he ordered like 3 or 4 of them.
Right.
Now Matt doesn't use his anymore. I think he had a bad experience. Like one of it like tipped over actually on stage, and so he tends to play more either with it on the belt or he may play sitting down. I'm not quite sure, but a fantastic player. He gigs all the time.
Great player.
Yeah, really, really talented, inspiring. I mean, like I remember seeing him just watching YouTube video after YouTube video. These guys at weddings out in Texas, like playing everything, like Pachelbel and Bach and all kinds of beautiful pop songs. Like they could play any event they wanted to. They were that.
Yeah.
I like what I've heard from them too.
Yeah, they're as a pair, it's amazing to have 2 stick players play together. It creates a whole awesome feel, man. It's cool. Like there can be 2 different bass parts going on and the intertwining melodies. Simple lines intertwining.
Yeah, it is pretty amazing what they did, and I think one of them switched to an alto, and that increased their range.
Yeah.
One was a guitar teacher, and one of them was a student. And he's like, here, pick up a stick, and this guy was really good at guitar, and I can't remember actually who was the student and who was the instructor, but both.
Mark White was the student, and Matt was the instructor.
Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So Rob, you've seen Heartstrings?
Yeah.
Okay. You've seen some videos and stuff?
Yeah, very nice.
Yeah, for sure.
Really nice.
For sure, yeah. I mean, I think every stick player goes through that moment. They're like, wow, I wonder if they knew third guy, because like I could learn a lot from them, or like I would never want to have to sit in on that gig. They're like, okay, let's do whatever it is, like air on a G string. You'd be like, no, I like.
Hey, have you heard them play Annie's Song by John Denver?
No.
Oh, like I'm not a John Denver fan, but I certainly am after I heard them. Like, it's on YouTube. Check it out. Annie's Song or Anne's? Yeah, it's Annie's Song.
Annie's Song. Okay.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Absolutely beautiful.
If anyone if anyone can do it like they can, I mean, like they do such a fantastic job. Annie's Song. Okay, yeah. They probably have like a playlist or something out there.
Yeah, they do. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So let me tell you a little bit more. So I think we covered John, and we covered kind of like a little bit of the history. So now what I want to show you guys is, right, so let me put this all together. Because there's a new version of the TAGG being rolled out. and I'll show you like exactly what that looks like. So here is the box in which it comes in, right? So, and in 2 days since they've been available, we've sold one each day. So a couple of guys out in the stickers have purchased them. So this is TAGG V, what, 2, like version 1.02, whatever it is. So this one in particular, I know the wood that this is made from. So this is made from Western maple.
Okay.
And so when you look at this one, the first thing that I saw was, look at that. You don't have these big bolts there anymore.
Nice.
Dowels. So he's actually created it in such a way that it's like nice and smooth there, right? So he's used a different type of wood there, which is kind of stylistic. So you don't have these big honking like hex, whatever. I'm not quite sure what the term is, but you don't. Those are not protruding from the actual from the tag itself. The next kind of update that he made here was actually the two pieces are now made from a single piece of wood. So if you're looking here, you've got these two kind of the parts that comprise the lower sleeve. It used to be that these were separate pieces of wood. So you had a single piece of wood here, and a single piece of wood here, and then a third piece of wood that went across the top that was cut in this shape right here.
Right.
What he's done now is he's like, okay, let's not use 3 pieces of wood, let's use 2 pieces of wood, and actually let's cut these to size. And so he dremeled these or whatever it was, and put them, I'm not quite sure what tool you would use, but he's cut them in such a way that it's more efficient. He's using the same size screws here to insert that. And then, so those are pretty much the 2 big updates.
That's how mine is.
Is it?
Yeah. Mine doesn't have that half circle that you have on yours.
Right. So that's kind of unique. And really, it's not necessary. So let me show you how this looks when it plugs into the Chapman sleeve. So here is, like, when it plugs into, like, the first version, right, it just plugs in like that, right? And so it fits very nicely. Now, I have a lapdog on mine, and as you can see, the lapdog swings freely there, and it doesn't go all the way down on the belt hook, but that's fine.
Why doesn't it go down all the way?
Well, there, yeah, it went down a little further. That's as far as it goes. Like, I don't know if you can see, there's a little bit of, like, you can see through there, right? It doesn't go all the way because of the lapdog. The way
okay, gotcha, right.
It doesn't matter because it's on there, it's, like 75, 80% in, but it's not going to fall off this way, right?
Right.
The concern is that it's going to fall over like that, right? So let me show you how it's kind of, it's very similar, if not identical, to the newer version, right? So when it plugs in, right, it just plugs in like that. Same kind of difference, right? You can see a little bit through there. But if you look closely, you can see that it comes right up against the lapdog there.
Yeah.
Now, if I didn't have the lapdog on there, it would insert all the way.
Right.
There.
Yeah.
So you can see it. The lapdog comes right up against it. And then, so that's kind of nice that it accommodates the lapdog, because truthfully, I don't like performing with the TAGG. I would rather perform with the lapdog in a sitting position because I use pedals so much now. But when it comes to rehearsing, like, I just leave the frickin' thing set up all the time, and I can just march over to it and get like 6 minutes of practice time on me before I have a phone call or whatever, making lunches for kids and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So the last part of this, let me show you how this fits on the stand. So, my living room here. So now I'll kind of show you the stand that I'm using. So this is, and Kevin, when I'm done, I'll have you show like how you're doing it, okay?
Yeah, sure.
So this is a Pearl boom stand. Now, I put it down about that far. I like a nice, it kind of spread out so that you have a nice foundation. This particular stand is configured in such a way that if you pull this out, actually it can work as a boom stand, right? So if you want to have it as a boom, you can. These stands on average will cost $90, and I think it's a really good investment. So if you want to use it as, so I originally used it as a boom, but I use mine as a straight stand now. It's just a preference, it's just a personal preference. So this then folds down if I can do it. back down to the stand. And then that way, if you want a boom, you have a boom. If you need a straight stand, you got a straight stand. So I use mine as a straight stand. And then when I'm actually playing, now actually, I spoke to, who was it? I think I spoke to Rob last night, the guy that you bought your graphite from. Kevin?
Yeah, he told me about it.
Yeah.
He emailed me.
He actually, he sent me he's like, gotta be careful, Gene. And he had all these great points. So I want to share some of the points that he shared with me, all valid, all very real, and things that you need to be aware of if you're using the tag. So for starters, you have to find just the right height for you when you're setting up the tag, right? You have to figure out what works for you. For me, actually the stand is almost in its lowest position, and when I clip it in, right, I can't clip it in here, yeah, so you have to loosen up the butterfly nut like that. And then it just slips in right there and it rests freely. Like that's pretty much it. Now, when I'm playing with the tag, what you want to do is you want to have the leg, right, facing opposite the way the pressure is being applied. So now I'm going to move the camera here just for reference. And I don't think I'm wearing shoes, right? So when I'm playing, I'm set up in such a way where I've got the leg, I'm in this kind of y-axis right here, right? And so the pressure that I'm applying is coming out straight this way towards the instrument, right? So that if I'm pushing out, right, I don't have any play. It's very unlikely that I'll be pushing pressure off to the sides and it'll move off this way. But what you don't want to do is you don't want to be in a position where you're like this, and then you've got the you might actually, this is a bad position to be in. So you want to be in that Y position right there when you're positioning. And then I suppose the last point that I'll make before I kind of hand it off to you, Kev, is finding the right angle. And for everyone, it's going to be different. For me, it's like that's just perfect. That's right where I want it to be. When I look over, I look down this little kind of mute part of the chopman stick. I'm looking right at it, right down it, and then this is super duper comfortable for me. So the left hand can get everywhere it needs to be. Right hand, and actually, I might even consider lowering this a small amount, but this is like a perfect setting for me. So that's how I use my tag. And
Right
so to kind of review is that things to consider are position of your feet, position of the stand, right? Like definitely be aware of that. Like this is where you want to be, right? And if you have pedals, right, it's going to be very challenging to use with the tag. So that's something you need to be considerate of. If you're doing like a lot of tap dancing, like it's going to be really hard to use the tag, right? You're not going to have a lot of room. I've done it. I used to slide my HD 500 underneath this, and it worked out perfectly because I was able to get to the volume section right here. But that's kind of a sacrifice that I made. I was like, you know what? Unless I'm doing like a formal event and I'm not needing a lot of effects, I might use the stand. But it's more comfortable for me just to sit and play with the lapdog. So like in the same kind of like in the moment, you could have it on your tag and then very quickly just move to the lapdog, just like that. Right? So like now you're ready to go. You can set it back up here. And actually, I've been doing that a little bit at Viva Vino because there are some classical pieces that I like to play in a standing position. Just easier that way. And since I've been playing with the tag, I don't even have the strap installed anymore. Like I don't even have that. Other players are looking at my stick and they're like, "Where's the neck strap?" And I was like, I don't have one anymore. It's not that I don't need it; it's just that I don't use it. So I was like, I'm done with it. So. Cool. So, Kevin, sir, give me a little backstory on how you're using your tag and how you came into finding yours and all that good stuff.
Okay. When I bought my U-stick, my graphite 5 years ago, off the guy that emailed you last night, he had the tag with him, and I opted not to buy it because I was kind of strapped at that point, just laying out all the cash for the graphite. So I just walked away with the graphite. And then, was it last year, maybe a year and a half ago, I called him and asked him if he still had it. He said, yeah. So I shot him $100, and he delivered it to me free of charge, which was very nice of Rob. Thanks, Rob. And that's how I came into possession of one. So here's how I use it. I'm going to just switch my camera around.
Okay.
If I can.
While you're doing that, I'll tell you, I talked to Rob last night for like about a half hour.
Oh, you did, eh?
He had all these great points about balance and like just like when the stick is on the stand, it's in a very vulnerable position. So like, and as I was posting on the stick, it's like, right, keep drunk chicks at an arm's distance,
Definitely.
like, wait for that, if you're going to have that fourth or fifth beer, maybe till after, after the second set, maybe you want to do that. And just kind of things like that, because it really is, it isn't truly a vulnerable state, and you've got it like standing up like that. It's top heavy, and it can very easily end in tears, like it did, with Matt from Heartstrings. And he's bummed about it. He's like, I'll never use those things again. It's just too much. And and also, like, he's playing like every other day. I mean, I'll play like once a week, maybe once a month, actually once a week now. But it's when you're performing that regularly, it's probably not. It's just too much risk, I guess.
Yeah.
Oh, and last point. So I told Rob also, I was like, hey, we made a reference to your video in the Hitler video. How this graphite stick is now part of like stick history.
Right on. Right on. All right, so here we go. I'll turn my camera around.
Okay.
And you can still hear me?
Yeah. Oh, there it is. Okay.
Okay, so
it's a little bit dark there.
It is, eh?
Yeah.
So here's this. I use a Mapex stand. I normally have the tripod a little bit wider, but I haven't been using it of late. And I painted mine black.
I noticed that in your videos. That's wicked. So it matches the graphite.
It makes it just look a bit more evil. Now I think mine is made of oak. You can see the oak grain there.
Yeah.
And like Eugene, I've got my stand as low as it will go, and I don't use the boom, and it's pretty much straight up and down in there. So again, up to the front.
Nice.
Mine sits nice and flush in there because I don't have the lapdog on it.
Oh, okay.
Sits right down in there. Let's see if I can get. Yeah, I know it's a bit dark, but see, like I've got the version kind of that you're talking about.
Right, the 4-position belt hook.
Yeah, there's cool. Your Allen screws or whatever. I think what John has done now is basically screwed those things together and then filled the holes with wood plugs to make it aesthetically, dowels,
Yeah.
So there it is, man.
That's cool. So you painted yours black. Now, did you finish it, or like if you're painting wood, do you then need to have like a second coat over it or anything like that?
I primed it with white primer, then I gave it I spray painted it with 2 coats of black paint, and
wicked.
And that's it. Yeah, that's it, man.
That looks cool. It's funny because I noticed that in the video last night, because I saw that you had this one. You made a video of the Taggart when you first got it, like it was about a minute long.
Yeah.
But then I saw videos that you were playing, and I was like, it looks dark. It almost, like, what is that?
So again, a couple of caveats, as you mentioned before, Gene. You want the weight bearing on that front leg there. You don't want the weight bearing somewhere in between. You want it bearing up here, because it just through physics, it just doesn't want to tip over that way. Now, if you had the stick turned like that, it's more susceptible to tipping over, especially if you. Now, another thing, if I've done this a few times myself, I've been playing with my feet here or whatever, and I'll walk away and hook my foot under there, and I've always caught it, but you really have to be very careful And especially if you have your goofy drunk friend over and he wants to try the stick and then he tries to walk away and he hooks his foot under there, well, it's going to be awful.
Keep them back.
Yeah.
I have mine. I have mine off to like in the garage where I sometimes practice. But like,
another thing is, I think Steven Sink mentioned that he wants one so he can, quickly walk away and deal with children that are running around. You don't want any kids around this thing within a 20-mile radius. They will knock it over.
Cords, right? I mean, you've got your stereo cord going into it. Somebody catches, like their ankle or their, underneath that, and boy, it's just.
Yeah. You got to be like, it's a great device, but you have to be extremely careful.
Yeah.
If you're going to use it, and don't put it in a room that you got a lot of traffic in. You're gonna be sorry.
Yeah, I mean that was a great demonstration. I liked seeing the way you had it set up. So let me ask you. So something I've noticed. Actually, I can share this with you. Something that I found a little bit that when I'm playing is that it'll move a little on you, right?
You know what? That's the big reason why I'm not using it anymore. Like I said, I had a friend over. He was messing around with it. And he's kind of a burly bastard. And I think he was twisting it around. And I won't say that the wing nut got stripped, but I think he kind of stripped the stem such that I'll be playing that now on the stand, and I'll hit a certain note or just a bit too much pressure, and the thing will twist on me, and it catches me off guard. And I couldn't get the bloody thing tight no matter where I positioned it on the stem, turning it around the stem. So I'm like, shit, man, I'm going back to the belt. So I haven't used it.
Another one of those. So wing nuts, like, I'll send you a pair of these. So if for some reason the wing nut's been stripped, these are like I've got like a stash of these.
Oh yeah.
I can roll you a whole bunch of these. Yeah, absolutely.
Man. So
that may happen.
You found that yours is turning a bit as well.
A little, but the thing is that here's like. And like we have a whole document that we've written up on FAQs and that sort of thing. The first thing that's going to happen to a stick player when they play a tag is that they're going to say it's wobbling. The instrument is wobbling.
Yeah, it'll pendulum, but quickly you get used to that.
Right.
So don't if anybody's watching, don't let that dissuade you from buying one. It's an awesome device.
Yeah.
But it does swing a tiny bit at the top.
Yeah. I remember at Freehands 2013, like people were like, "What is going on?" I'm like, "Hey, don't do that." Like get up on it and hold it. And after about like an hour, you don't really notice it anymore. But it's one of those things. It's just like riding a bike. You feel it right away because you're used to the stick right up against you. And I really like. I think Daniel had mentioned it on the stick is how it's like you kind of like having it up close to your body. It feels good, right? You want to feel the strings like vibrating against your chest and against your midsection there. It feels good, and I like that too.
I miss that, and that's part of the reason why that I'm not really using it anymore. Right now, it's actually turned into a stick stand.
Right, but the thing is, what's great about that is that if you do want to try something, and that's how I use mine. Like I use mine more for practice now.
Yeah.
It has just different benefits, right? It's something I'll never get rid of. It's become like not as integral as the lapdog, but still a part of what I do and part of my process for learning songs. So other than like when the wobble, the other is that kind of spin, and that I found is that either one of two things is happening, and that is that it's not, you don't have the wing nut tightened enough. And I haven't encountered it, but there's a very good chance that the wing nut might need to be retooled or replaced even. Kind of one of the modifications that, or actually another. One of the modifications that John had mentioned was actually having the insert here be set up with like a sleeve in the same way that it is for the wing nut. So like if you are the butterfly, let me take this off really quickly so you can see. So the idea would be that it screws in on the cymbal stand. And that's a thought. Right now it's a little more lo-fi. That might come in a future version of the tag. So let me see if I can get this out really quickly and show you what I mean. So there's this metal sleeve right here, right? So the idea would be to put a metal sleeve here, a larger sleeve that would actually screw it onto the cymbal stand.
Yes.
That would prevent that kind of spin. So that's actually, we're in discussions about that, about being able to do that. I wanted to share with you one of the things that I noticed about this version. In the version 1, you can see that there's this stripe of wood right here. There's actually 3 plies of wood here, right? In the newer one, he's basically just using 2, right? So you can see here, there's just 1 piece of wood on top of 1 piece of wood. And it's not this, he doesn't have these like placeholder pieces of wood right here. Like, right, you can see that there's actually 3 pieces of wood here. So, like more refinements, kind of upgrades in the version 1.2. And we've sold 3 of them, right? So 3 of them have been bought. And then actually something I'll share, and I mean, no one really asked, but I think people should know, and that is that they are $120. They're $120 each, US, and shipping is usually anywhere between like $6 to $8, maybe $9. I make 15%, so I make like $18 on the sale of every tag. I give John, I don't give John, I mean John gets $60, so he gets basically 50% of all the sales. So that was the idea. I told him, I was like, look, you are the artist, you are the manufacturer, we'll take 50%, you get $60 for every sale. And then what we do is we've agreed to take 35% and set that aside for the material costs of wood, for the costs of the boxes and the shipping, for the marketing and the advertising of it. So we set aside about like a third of it just to kind of cover the costs of the wood, which ranges anywhere between $12 to $15 per. So he hand picks out the wood that these are made from. Now Andy's got one right now. He actually John made one of these for Emmett, and he made it out of koa. So those, like, if he was going to sell that, he'd probably sell it for $200. So if you've got like a stick made out of a special wood and you want a koa tag, we've got one, but it's like $200. So and Andy's got it right now, and I thought he was going to be able to keep it. John's like, no, you can't have that one. So you gotta send it back, man. Sorry. So that's how the kind of the money is split up, and I've always felt like I wanted to be kind of upfront about that. So I am kind of enthusiastic about it. Obviously, I'm an entrepreneur, as is, and he doesn't really care. He just wants to like someone to kind of deal with all the email and find out people who want them. So we're trying to kind of evolve the form, and based on the feedback that I'm receiving from you, Kevin, that I received from Rob, we spoke to last night, and Rob was on the call with us right now. It's kind of good to know how people want to use it, how people will be using it. Like what doesn't work, what needs to work, what needs to be improved, and I suppose just like kind of the details with the stand, which no one's really kind of covered up until now.
Yeah, and I forgot to mention, you don't want a shitty stand. You want a nice beefy stand like Gene has with the truss, like 2 truss legs coming down. You don't want to put it on a crappy old Ludwig snare stand from 1962. You need a beefy stand.
Yeah, that's I would agree with that 110%, because, and this is kind of what Rob, your friend, was telling me last night. It's like, hey man, it's a $3,000 like it's like $3,000, like just like kind of balancing there in the wind. Do you really want to like actually just pop that on like some old stand? So yeah, you want like a reinforced stand. I'm not quite sure. I'm sure like if Luke was here, he could tell us, or Rick Byer, who are our kind of drum playing stick friends, like it needs to be reinforced, right? So it needs
like that, yes. There's the two trusses coming down.
The way you want to do it. I think John Tyler Kent is joining us.
Hello.
Hey John, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Good.
He's joining us.
I want to mention one more thing while it's on my mind before I forget about it. I play outside on my deck once in a while in my backyard with the stand last year, and if there's more than 5 knots of wind, be very careful. Don't walk away from that thing because it'll blow over in wind. So if you're doing an outside gig with one of these things on a windy day, do not leave it on the stand and walk away because it will blow over.
Interesting. Yes, I use mine. I use mine almost like a stand, just because I have it inside all the time, and I have it out of the way so that no one's going to knock it over. But again, like, great things to consider. And I've always wanted one of the Stick Enterprises stands because they're just so sweet. They just like look so tight, and they look like the stick looks so comfortable on it. I'm always kind of got this like jackass guitar stand that's been modified, and it's kind of like
that's what I do.
I get kind of nervous looking at that. So, anyways,
I do have a Stick Enterprises stick stand, and I think it's pretty great. Feel very safe with it. Never had any problem.
Rob, do you have that thing handy?
Yeah. Wait a minute. I got it in the back.
I'm gonna get mine too that I made here at home. I'll be right back.
Okay, cool. This is a great time to talk a little bit about GEPH. Yeah.
Hello. Now that everybody's gone, yeah.
Right, exactly. Oh, you're here. Well, this is for prosperity. So, like, right, like this is for the Stick Nation. It's not just for us on the call. So, anyways, what do you got, man?
What I got?
Yeah.
This would be a great time to have a CD next to me, wouldn't it? But these guys came in a little while ago.
Cool.
I think we just sent out a batch. So I think yours is in that batch that we just mailed out.
I would love to do a review for that. I'm looking forward to it. I listened to it pretty much through on Bandcamp and really liked it.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll show you this thing.
We're going to come back to GEPH.
It's a guitar stand.
Today, John. Like, we're coming back to GEPH. We were just talking about GEPH. Oh, wow, look at you.
Oh, sorry.
Whoa.
Cut in. So it's just a guitar stand. I put some foam on there.
Okay.
And underneath, I just pulled those things apart and put some of those U-shaped nails in. Now, this thing comes out. What's that?
Those dog treats on the bottom?
Dog treats. That's the old rubber thing that holds the guitar on.
Okay. All
right. So the top, what I've done is it's just a shitty old piece of pine, but I dadoed out with a crosscut saw, about a quarter inch in. Then I filled that with foam.
Okay.
And the stick sits. There's the indent of the foam. This works really good. So if you don't want to spend, hundreds of dollars on a stick stand, you can just modify any guitar stand, and this thing works really good. So
that's nice.
There you go.
All right. Well, hey, Rob, show us the one that you got from Stick Enterprises.
That does look pretty good.
That looks great, man.
Okay.
Gavin.
Yeah, worked good.
Yeah. It folds up real good too for taking apart and traveling, and that's another nice. But yeah, I feel very very safe with this.
I like those stands a lot. They're
I've had nice. This guitar fall off the stand at home before, and that's pretty bad experience. So
yeah. Yeah, I remember.
I hate to see that happen with a stick.
One of the last year ago at FHA 2014, they ran out of stands because people actually saw the stands and they're like, oh, I want that. We need more stands. And I remember Cambria turning around and were like, we don't have any more. Like, where are the stands? So I think somebody had to drive back to Woodland Hills to get more stands from Freehands Academy. So, anyways, that was the stands are in demand, and they're like you were saying, Rob, they're well made. But it's also kind of fun to see, and this is what I love about the stick community, is that people doctor up their own stuff. They're like, here, try this. This works too. An example of that is Debro's lap bar, which is fantastic. And that's what's great about that you can take it off and put it on any instrument you have. If you have 2 sticks or 3 sticks, I used to have 2. I have 1 now. But if you have 2 sticks, you don't need a separate interface for each instrument, which makes that pretty valuable. So.
Yeah. I'm intrigued by both the lapdog and the tag. Probably more so the lapdog first. For one thing, I kind of for sitting down, having the stick and the crotch is I don't have that great of a chair either. It's like kind of uncomfortable having it that close into the body. It seems like it'd be nice with the lapdog having a little distance there.
Mhm.
And maybe the same thing with the tag. I could see. I know you say you like to feel the stick like up close to the body when you're playing, but it seems like I like it too. But also could be an advantage maybe to have a little bit of space. I don't know, kind of fit it into where you want it. But
I got really used to the space.
how would you describe your experience with the tag as far as how it feels on the end? I know you talked about it a little bit before, but maybe compare playing just standing up without just strapped onto the belt. Compare that to with the on the stand.
So, Kevin, I'll go first if that's okay.
Yeah, go. Yeah.
So, one thing that I do not like about the stick is that if you want to get plugged in and play, you've got this strap that needs to go over your head, and then you've got to put it on your belt. And if for any reason, hey John,
Hi.
if for any reason you're not plugged in, now you're waltzing around with the stick. Now, when you lean over with the stick can come off of your belt and actually fall off, right, and fall out of your belt hook and onto the ground, although it's still secured around your neck. So you kind of limit the damage in that regards. However, it's this kind of this crazy dance. Now you've got the stick kind of affixed to your body, and I just don't like that. I don't like that. And also it's because oftentimes when I'm performing, I'll have to like go back and change a setting, whether that's on a pedal or on an amp. It doesn't matter. If I've got the tag, man, it's just set up there, and I'm just walking around free doing it, which is to me is just like, that makes sense. That makes perfect sense. So, and then also like when I was doing the Song of the Week stuff, like time's really valuable, right? Like I have to be able to do all these other things all at once, and to be able to get up on it, play for 10 minutes, play for 15 minutes, and then just leave it and come back to it. I'm not putting a stand on. I don't have to put it on my belt. And if I do, it's already set up on the stand. Right now I use it active too, so I don't leave it plugged in. But when all I have to do is just basically plug it in, so I'm not juicing the 9-volt. It just makes better sense to me, right? So like for me, it's like it's like all about practicality, and so I do a lot of work in IT. So it's always like I kind of want to do this job. I want to script it, and so that's the way I see it as kind of like a function of the script, right? So you have different parts of the script that do different things, which you then wrap up and deploy as code. So for this, it's kind of like, okay, well, it's already plugged in, or it can be plugged in very easily. It's already set up, so this motion and this motion is all replaced with it just sitting on the stand waiting for me. It's just waiting for me. And to me, like that versus having to have the belt. Now, Greg, we had this big debate over it. It's a little debate. But Greg's like, you don't feel the instrument against you. It's totally impersonal. And actually, Emmett said this as well. It feels like it's impersonal almost, like you're not connected to the instrument. And they're right. Right? They're right. It's not, you don't have that same kind of like hugging the Chapman stick kind of feeling. But I didn't miss that. For me, I was just like, forget that. I want to be hands-free. Free hands, right? Hands-free, free hands. So that was like, when I saw that thing, I knew right away I have a practical application for this thing. And then what kind of dashed out against the rocks is now I'm using all these pedals and expression pedals and stuff like that. So I actually can't use it in a live performance, but I still use it every single day when I'm practicing. Just makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'd like to add some things to what Gene said. Like, I like the stand for all of the same reasons. I kind of do miss having the instrument attached to me. I like to, when I play, I tend to go back and forth like this. And with the tag, that stopped for me. Because, well, you can't, or else you're going to be tilting your stand back and forth. I like to do this, and it's not. I don't even like to do it. It just happens, and that's one of the things that I do when I play. Another thing that I don't like about playing with in the belt hook and the shoulder strap is I don't like the shoulder strap. I think it looks a bit off. I think it's not aesthetically pleasing. I think people see that and go, it goes in your armpit. Doesn't it get all smelly? And I find that it really kind of pulls my pants down. And I'm not the guy to put on another belt like a lot of the stick players do. They put a belt up around their belly button. I say, no thanks, man. I'm going to put it in my pants, and it's going to stay in my pants. Now, so I couldn't get quite the height that I wanted to with the belt hook. So I actually I took Per Boyson's advice, which I actually turned down once. I stuffed a bunch of rubber up into the belt hook to raise it up about another 1.5 inches. So it's, when I look out at the stick, I like to see the first position marker kind of level with my shoulder. Now I could never get that when I had no stuffing in the belt hook. But again, the TAGG is great for all the reasons that Gene has mentioned. He's got the Active 2 pickup, so of course he has to unplug it all the time, or else he's going to go through a million batteries. I have a Passive 4. I just leave it plugged in all the time. So boom, I go and turn my amp on, and away I go. And that's really cool. Yeah, it's really cool.
Big plus. Yeah, so lots of good points about it, and it's just like anything, right? It's like I do think that in all the years that I've had mine, I've never had an accident.
Me neither.
Whether I was playing live or practicing, but you can't. Sometimes there's variables you can't control. But I've always made an active effort to keep cables and cords away from my cymbal stand, from my accessory stand.
Yes.
Make sure that nothing's going up and underneath it, and so. Anyways.
Yes.
So what we should do, if it's okay. I did want to wrap up in the next 5 minutes, but we are very fortunate to have John Tyler Kent with us. And so while you guys were off getting drinks and getting your stands, I did want to, and John, I expect that we'll have something dedicated to GEPH and the release, and maybe some kind of stuff you can share with us, in the process, because I did see some videos with you guys recording. I'd love to hear it. You want to give us kind of a synopsis of what you guys are up to and what we can expect from GEPH in the next couple
John,
of
that shit blows me away, man. That blows me away.
Oh, thanks, man.
I love it. I'm fucking blown away by that record.
Thanks, man. I feel bad because I always end up on Stickist. I'll end up posting something, and then just I never keep up with the comments on it, like getting back to responding to that stuff.
It's killer.
You did say something really nice about it, and I really appreciate it.
It's killer, man. It's rock. Nobody rocks on the stick. Well, people rock on it, but you guys rock, man.
Yeah.
That rocks.
It is crunchy.
Crunchy. That's a fun way to put it. I like it.
It's like crunchy. It's like, but it's also like there's like big chords. Like it feels like it's not like one note or like two notes and stuff like that. Dude, Buzz.
Buzz is driving.
Hey man, how are you?
Keep your eyes on the wheel or the road.
Dude, keep your eyes on the road, brother. Eyes on the road.
I'm trying.
Okay, all right. So we'll get you caught up here, Boaz. We're talking about GEPH. So John's going to kind of give us the skinny on like a little bit of the process of making the record, and maybe if you guys have some gigs out in the area or something like that, what you've got coming up in the next few days and weeks here.
Yeah, we're trying to kind of fill up the summer a good amount with kind of Northeast gigs as much as we possibly can with our different work schedules and stuff like that.
Gotcha.
We actually just got started about a week ago writing number 2 because we were sitting on these songs for a while after we to record them after we'd written them, so we're kind of ready to get kind of moving on that as well. One thing we've kind of been working on and trying to work into the set is a little bit more kind of improv based stuff. I'm seeing Stickmen tonight out in Natick, so hopefully I get get some inspiration from that.
What did you say there? I missed it.
I'm seeing a Stickmen tonight
Oh, cool. Is Adelson opening up for that one, or is that?
I don't think so. I don't think so. I'm not actually not too sure. I saw it kind of last. I saw the thing pop up like last minute.
Okay. I think that was just New York. That was just New York.
Where's the gig, John? Where are they playing?
They're playing in Natick, Massachusetts.
Okay.
So it's a little bit of a trip out, but it should be fun. I shot Marcus a message really quick, just saying like, hey, hopefully seeing you guys tonight. And but I really like some of the recent like live recordings they've put out. I really like kind of how they do improv stuff, especially with the stick. So I'm really looking forward to seeing that.
Let me ask
Cool.
you, there was a fourth guy that I saw with them on stage. It was just an image. I think it was just out on Facebook. But there was a fourth cat that was up there, like actually playing a guitar or something like that.
They had David Cross for a while playing violin for him.
Okay. I saw somebody with like a headless guitar or something like that. This would have been like just a couple of days, and he was sitting right in between Tony and Marcus. So just kind of curious.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I hadn't seen anything about that. I think it's just going to be the three of them tonight. But they also like it's possible they had somebody open up and
Right.
just let them on stage for a couple tunes or something like that.
Cool. Cool. That'll be a good show, and I'd love to see how you guys kind of work things out live. I mean, because like, is it jazz, right? Like nobody knows for sure, but it's still improv, and that like there's just so many places it can go. And what I love about Stick also is that all the different roles you can play, and I never quite know for sure, just like with John and George, it's like, hey, who's playing that solo? Who's playing that rhythm part? And it kind of adds to the mystery. I kind of like it.
Exactly. That's kind of the fun thing about it. I kind of feel like it finally, after like 2.5 years of playing, that I finally feel really comfortable using effects properly with the stick live. That's something that was kind of like, especially with a lot of distortion and stuff like that, it was kind of hard to find good balance of levels and stuff like that. And more recently, I've really gotten to sit down with that.
Good.
Because a lot of that stuff, when we were recording it, I was using plugins. I was using Amplitude and some of the Waves plugins as well for most of my effects. Josh pretty much. I don't know why this worked. It probably shouldn't have as well as it did, but he literally just plugged straight into his effects, plugged straight into the interface, and recorded everything. I'd spend like weeks like getting my parts down for like recorded right for a tune and everything like that, and he'd send like within 2 days he's like sends all of his parts back to me.
Nice. Well, something we said for efficiency.
Yeah, absolutely.
You guys have a good just kind of balance. It's kind of nice to see. So that'll be cool. And I'm looking forward to. And if it's okay, we're just in the midst of kind of wrapping up right now. But I'd like to devote a whole show, to you guys, because we did, I think, interview you guys independently and do sessions with you on Freehands Fridays. It'll be fun to maybe include you and maybe I think we talked about it before, including your drummer as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and actually doing like a whole band thing like we did with Don. Yeah.
So, we'd be really excited to do that.
Your drummer is killer, man. Your drummer is freaking killer.
He's one of those guys.
He's good.
He reminds me of DiCarlo. He's one of those guys who's like particularly well with playing with stick players.
Yeah.
There are a lot of great drummers I know up here that for some reason you introduce the instrument to them and they just don't really vibe off it the same way. He like right away, like right when I got the thing, he was already kind of feeding off it and just feeling very comfortable playing with that instrument. So.
There's a certain expectation I think that comes along with a drummer as like, I want a bassist to play with. And this article more recently that was posted, I can't remember who posted it, but it was this 120-page document that was out there on the Stickist that this cat from, is that in Texas? I think his name was Jeff. He wrote this paper about the Chapman stick, and it was very eloquent. I mean, it was written as, for his master's degree. And
Yeah, it was his thesis, I think. It was a thesis.
it was his thesis, right? It took me 3 hours to read and to make sense of, and it was totally worth it. And a lot of people come to the stick thinking it's a bass, and a lot of times people feed into that unknowingly. They're like, oh, it's a bass that doesn't sound very good. It's kind of... No, it's okay. Tony Levin was a bassist. You probably heard him in King Crimson. It's not a bass, and that's okay, right? Like it's like, oh, it's got this extended range. It's like a guitar and a bass, right? And then there's this whole other road that people go down. It's like, no, it's not that. It's not that at all. And what you need to do is like let it have it's like kids, right? You don't want to choose a favorite kid or, hey kid, why can't you be like this kid, right? You don't do that. Like let it be its own independent entity.
Yeah, I always, whenever anybody's asking what it is that I'm playing, I always try to avoid either word, guitar or bass. It really is. It's very much his own thing.
Yeah.
And then I end up bringing up keyboards because I guess like playing techniques and hand independence wise, it's a little bit more similar to that. I feel like. But I don't know. I've seen some videos where Tony Levin's explaining. He's like, yeah, it's got 5 bass strings and then 5 guitar strings. And I was like,
You're
no.
I quoted it. I mean, I literally, I remember when I was reading it, I literally cut and pasted it into a document because he said it so elegantly. He said it so perfectly, and people like unknowingly like kind of what's the word? They kind of blow up the fact that it's these 2 instruments in one, and then people get it, and then they're fabulously disappointed. And they learn one part, but they can't add this other part to it because this other part's like so engaging. Like, how do I then like play a solo over this big gnarly like bass part? It's like you're not playing stick.
Yeah, exactly.
You're not. You can be a stick player, right? Like be a stick player. And then there's also, I mean, as long as I've got the conch here, there's fantastic moment. Stay the Stick, Freehands 14, Freehands Academy 2014, and Greg said part of the like, what if you could play totally independently with both hands? You could just do whatever you wanted with both hands, right? That wouldn't be playing the stick. And I was like, I hadn't really thought of it like that. But that dependence, that's not interdependence, right? Like that dependence that you have is kind of what draws you in, kind of like a piano player is playing. And then what's so freaking amazing about the stick is the crossover in the upper registers with the lower hand. And so it's just like, what can you compare it to? Like other tapping instruments. That's truly what you can compare it to.
Yeah, absolutely. I've I think I lost you for a sec. Hello?
You're still with us.
Still there? Okay.
You're still here.
Cool. It's interesting too. A while, this was probably about a year ago or something like that, but there was like some sort of debate happening on Stickist about the U8 and the U10, and I was talking to, I think it might have been Matt I was talking to about this, and he's like, having like played stick for a while, it's just not really like intended to be the same kind of thing. It's very much, it's one string set, with its, fifth tuning, but other than that, it's got the range that allows for more kind of two-part writing and stuff like that for sure, but it's kind of its own separate thing, and it's definitely not intended to be doing what the stick is doing.
Oh, the U8 and the U10, yeah, it's a whole. I mean, it's similar, right? Like, and this gets back into this whole kind of like this precondition, or what you think the instrument is. And what's interesting with Matt's whole story is, he got a hold of it, and he's into metal, right? Like Metal Matt, and so like he can actually like crunch a big guitar chord on it, and it's like you can't really do that on the stick, right? Because you got to like not hit the melody strings, and like then you're committing this other hand when you really should be like using both hands, right? It's a total different instrument. And like I suppose like it approaches the NS, right? But the NS is two separate sets of four, like in that regard. And like I don't know if you could like crunch big like 8-string chords against an NS because there's a little bit of spacing between the first set of 4 and the second set of 4. And then also I think you play the U8 a little lower than you would play the NS as well.
Yeah. And that has very different. It has a very different timbre too. Like I know, I noticed that with like the kind of the earlier the early Stickmen stuff with Michael versus when Marcus came in with the U8.
Mm-hmm.
Is that it's got its own kind of character to it. I think that's Matt ended up doubling I think a lot of the bass parts on the Pavlov record with the U8 because it does have kind of that crunchy guitaristic thing going on a little bit more than the stick does.
Right. It's just they're just two different instruments.
Yeah.
And they're similar to tap them, but it's like for people who've actually played them and for people who own them, you know, like they can truly understand that. But if you're trying to explain it to a guitarist or to a bassist, it's a tapping instrument. It's kind of like, well, yeah. But then you can guitar and bass, they're pretty much the same thing, right? They're just, I mean, they're like string. That has a volume.
Ibanez is making like 9-string guitars, and people think that they don't need basses anymore. And
not if you're playing through a Fender Twin, right? Like,
yeah, exactly.
Stick Rob on them. Rob will be like, you know, you can't do that. You know, like the range. You've killed this frequency. You killed the frequency. I still reference those videos, and I'm like, wait. Oh, okay. Now I understand what you're saying. Like, I still look back on those videos, and they're still very educational. And we miss him. Like, I don't know why. Like, we have to get him back on. I know he's like busy with his other projects, so maybe I'll ping him. But listen, we're at pretty much about 50 minutes. I'm hoping this is a comfortable time for you guys, and I'm glad that we got to talk a little bit about the differences between the U8 and the U10 and the Chapman stick. We talked a little bit about GEPH, what we've got coming up. Super excited for like even more. Like even though like what we've got from GEPH right now is fantastic, and I'm looking to dig into it. And actually have it, you know, like here on the turntable at home. So the idea of a second GEPH album is like bitching, right? Like be prolific, put out lots of material, get on the road, find other bands you can coordinate with, like network like crazy, and keep making live videos. You know, like that's I think a big selling point for you guys. That'd be nice.
We're working out one of the live. We're doing a live Tool cover now, and we're trying to get a video done of that.
Cool.
Relatively soon.
Do it. Right? It's like B-side. All good. So John and Rob and Kevin, I want to thank you all for being here on Freehand 74. It was a great session. Probably what I'll do is I'll do a little write-up. We'll get it up on the Stickist and out there on the Facebook world. Any thoughts on? I want to do another song learn session at some point, Kevin. Have we done Mad World? I don't think we've done Mad World, but I think we did tomorrow or yesterday.
Yesterday, yeah.
Yesterday. I might like to do one on Mad World if ever you
that
are.
was real good.
Yeah, we could do Mad World. We could do something a bit more technical though too, if you want.
Okay. Well, I do want to. I've been wanting to do actually the minuet in G. The first time we did it, we kind of talked about Bach. I wasn't prepared to do it, so that's one that I do want to do. So I want to walk through the first minuet in G. Victor's most recent recording of the minuet G was spot on. He was
great.
Oh, just like
good for him.
Perfect performance, delivery, like played with confidence. I'd also like to do the G minor. So because I've got that one down, I'd like to share that. Like, I'm always looking at my fretboard, though. I can't play it like him, like where he's just like David Tipton about it, you know, just like, you know, and like, that was so cool.
Hey, dude, you're working on Just the Way You Are?
I've got that down.
How is it? Can you post it?
I will. I haven't posted something in a long time, but I'm actually going to have a little more time to do that, so I will post that. And it's a fun song to play. I love the way that I never realized it, but that he uses a major chord and a minor chord, like a G major and then a G minor, and I forgot like how effective that is when it's the actual like if you're in the key of D. Yeah. When you switch from like a G major to a G minor, like just how that pulls on your heartstrings. You know?
Yes.
It's just like, oh, and when I saw it written, I was like, whatever. But then when I played it, I was like, oh, okay, I get it. But that would be, it's a perfect song for voice leading. Like I'm amazed at the way where the notes that he's singing, where the melody ends up in the chord. It's very clever. So we'll do a song learn on that one. And then,
I do a cover of that myself.
Oh, okay, great. Yeah, then we can.
But I covered it about 4 years ago, and it's kind of rough, but it's much better now. It's a great song. It's fun to play, isn't it?
Yeah.
Fun to play.
Everyone knows that one, and it's like when you're sitting in the wine bar and like there's like a couple over there like on a first date, you know, you break out something like that. The guy
Totally.
walk over with a $5 bill, and you're like, oh my God. Hopefully you can, but you know, like anyways. Hey, Boaz is back. Boaz is just back just in time for us to break it down. Are you back home, man? Let's let him check in here really quickly. So yeah, we can do a song while he's gearing up. We can do a song on that one. I do still want to do the minuet in G major, like dedicated to that, and as well as the G minor, because I want to do it for all the Bach pieces that I do. Because I've got
Cool.
So that is something that I'd like to do. I don't want to just totally ditch Boaz here because he's making such a fantastic effort to get on. Boaz, can you hear us? I feel bad. All right. Well, we're gonna have to turn him loose.
All right.
Thanks a lot for that.
Are you there? I forgot.
Or something.
I'm gonna catch up with him on a Google chat afterwards. So listen, thanks everyone for making it out. I appreciate it. It's a good session, and you know, if and when you want more information about the TAGG interface, right now I've got 2 left to sell. Basically, they're selling like 1 a day right now, just because they're kind of new. But John's making a new batch, and so if you have questions around them, I suppose when this video goes up, you can refer people to it.
It's a great device, and I think all stick players should at least own one and try it out. And
Yeah.
It's awesome. It really is. You just got to be careful with it.
Yeah, you got to be careful with it. It's a cool tool to have. So, gents, have a great Friday, great weekend. The very best. Happy Free Hands Friday.
Thanks, Gene.
We'll do it again next Friday. I'm into it.
All right. Thanks, dude. Thanks for having us.
All right.
Have a good weekend, guys. Bye.
Take care.